Celebrating successes. What's going on, dads? Today's video I just want to make, it's about celebrating successes that come along with being a father. You know, a lot of days you wonder if you're doing the right thing or not. You wonder if you're being a good dad, if what you're doing makes a difference. I just want you to take the time that when you have those moments where you realize that the work you put in has paid off, even at, it could be at whatever age it is. There's so many circumstances where I look and I watch the way my son acts with other people or with other kids, and just even just general, just his happiness is something that, like, I need to take the time to be grateful and appreciative of those kind of moments. It's not guaranteed. One topic I always talk about is kind of like how my childhood wasn't exactly the greatest. You know, I dealt with a lot of bullying. I dealt with a father that was present but wasn't really present. My son's almost 8 years old now. I realize that when I look back, that a lot of the worst things that happened to me happened by the time I was his age. Like, one example I want to give is that last week I was at the playground. We were running up and down the hill, and I was at the top of the hill, and I watched my son run up, and he was like genuinely smiling. I think that was one of those moments where I realized that my son's happy, like genuinely happy. You know, our goal as parents is to give our kids a better life than we had. And I think a lot of times we put too much pressure on ourselves to think that the happiness is correlated with financial success. Although that finances do make it easier to be able to give your kids the kind of life that everybody wants, it's not everything. I always tell people, I'm like, the things that you give to your kids, the memories, the lessons, those are the things that your kids are really truly going to carry through your life. Yeah, they'll remember like that things weren't hard. Memories are always over anything that's over any physical possession. When I look back on things, and you know, I think about that age where maybe sometimes I was happy, for the most part I was pretty miserable as a kid. You know, I always put this facade on that I was happy, and I a lot of time used the pain and anger that I had as a kid, and that's where I kind of gained my sense of humor and kind of my outlook on life. You know, they say that the funniest people are the ones that have the most damage, because you use comedy as your coping mechanism. Bring it back to how that correlates with being a father. You know, looking at my son and seeing that he's happy, again, just running and seeing him smile and realizing that he's a happy kid, that's truly an amazing blessing that I can't even begin to describe. I'm halfway through the formative years of him becoming an adult. You know, he's almost 8 years old. Around 16, 17 is when he's really going to take off and be the man he's going to be. I take the time to be thankful and be grateful for simple things. Going through this journey of a custody battle and kind of a breakup and kind of rebuilding my life after the relationship I thought I was going to have and the life I thought I was going to have, I take the time to say thanks for the opportunities and the things I do have. You know, my son's 8 years old, almost 8 years old now, and like, he has no memory of any of the custody battle stuff. As bad as the custody battle stuff was, the fact that, like, he has no knowledge that it even happened, that's pretty amazing. Does it suck that I'm not with his mother anymore? Yeah, I would have liked to have been with his mom and kind of built that family and had that be my life, but unfortunately, sometimes things just don't go the way you intend or want them to. But you have to play the cards that you're given, and you have to move forward. Realizing that he's happy at this age is pretty rewarding to myself. You know, I think about a lot of days, I question, I'm like, was that the right decision to make? Was what I taught him the right thing? But then, like, you see the fruits of your labor, and you realize that what you're doing is good. Like, again, seeing my son smile, I can't replace that. I can't manufacture that. Like, that had to be genuinely done through hard work, and I'm grateful for that. Case in point is, like, you know, I think about as a Christian and as a man of faith, I think my priorities are a little different. When I was a kid, I was taught that, like, to be successful, you had to get a good job, you had to have everything perfect. And now, like, I realize as a dad, and now as a person that's teaching a young person how to be a man, what really matters to me is that he becomes a good man. Do I want him to be successful? Yes. Do I want him to make a lot of money? Yes. Do I want him to have all the things in life that he wants? Of course. First and foremost, I want him to be a good man and a good person. Being a good person, that's something that can carry you through tough times, whereas some people that are miserable or aren't happy, the moment that adversity hits them, they just collapse. So there's like case in points where I see the lessons that I've given him, like about being humble and having humility and caring about others, and enacting the golden rule. Don't treat other people the way you wouldn't want them to treat you. And I think that's a good emphasis to keep pushing on kids that are age, like when they make mistakes, is just tie it back to them. Be like, if you were doing what you're doing right now to somebody else and they were doing it to you, would you be happy? And I think that really makes them think about it. So there's some case in points where, like, I've seen little successes. I've seen little kids fall on the playground and my son stops to help them up. I've seen my son give some of his toys to people that are less fortunate. I see him try to cheer people up, and I think that's a pretty amazing thing. My son's in second grade and he says he has his first girlfriend at school, and he's like, "Dad, I have a girlfriend." He's like, "It's my job to keep her safe and protect her." And I'm like, at 7.5, that's such an amazing thing to think that he thinks that way. Last week, I picked him up from school, and the little girl was his girlfriend. Mom was in the car in front of us, so we get in the car, and here in New York, it's starting to hit spring. There was some flowers blooming off in the yard at school. Like, "Dad, can I go pick a flower?" In the past, it was always like, when he picked the flowers, because he wanted to give it to his mom or he wanted to give it to me. He's like, "Can I go give it to my girlfriend?" And I was like, "Sure." He goes up and he politely asks the girl's mother if it's okay if he gives her flower, and she said yes. And I think the thing that really warmed my heart was twofold. One, he was a little gentleman and he wanted to give his girlfriend a flower, but second, that he learned that to be respectful, that he went up and asked her mother politely if he could give the flower. And none of this it wasn't me prepping him, and it wasn't saying, "Hey, do this, do that." It's like the lessons I taught him, he has in his memory, and he has in his toolbox, and they just came natural to him, and he was using them. Seeing things like that, it really makes you look inside and say, what I'm doing is right. And I think that's what I want for you guys is, every day is not going to be perfect, and there's going to be hard times, and there's things that you're going to wish you would have done differently. Your ability to continue moving forward is what is the most important. Take these little victories, let them be something that pushes you forward, let you know that these are things that you're teaching them, and that they're becoming a better person because of you. So you might not always see it, and you might not always feel it, and you might think that you're not, you might not think you're doing a great job. Sometimes things will come out of left field that just hit you, and it really makes you feel proud of the person and the father that you are. Last week I'm at the gym, and my son sends me voice messages every night before bed. He says, "Good night, Dad, I love you." Which is another thing. It's kind of funny that my son says he loves me on the phone, but he hasn't said he loves me in person in forever. I know he loves me, but he doesn't say it. But he says it over the phone. This time he said, "Good night, Dad, I love you." And then the next thing he said is, "Dad, I wouldn't want anybody else to be my dad but you." And I got emotional from it. There was tears in my eyes. It goes back, I talk about in my one video when my son came, and feelings and the emotions that I had. And I think I cried 5 times the day he was born. And I tell people, I'm like, you think you love your parents, you think you love your siblings, you think you love your significant other. When you meet your child, it's like nothing you've ever experienced in your life. You get goosebumps, you get chills, you have this overwhelming desire to keep this baby safe, and you love them more than anything you've ever loved in your entire life. And that continues on through as they age. To hear my sons say that, I mean, they see other kids are engaged with their parents, and they see other kids with their dads. Just a little thing like that, just it goes so far. I think as dads, all we want to do is know that we did a good job. Again, that isn't done through financial successes and getting education in school, because on my own I was able to attain success in life and kind of have a good life for myself and give that to my son. but that wasn't because of my dad. I have a lot of resentment towards my dad. And I think I'm a better father because I went through adversity and did all that. I don't want my son to ever feel like he has to have that motivation from what he lacked to be a good man or a good father. I want my good example, my presence, my commitment to him to be a good father, to be present, to be engaging, and to teach him and provide him lessons and share my wisdom with him to help him, guide him, become a better man. I don't want him to ever look back and say, I wish dad would have done this and I had to do this on my own. Obviously, there's going to be adversity he's going to go through. I want him to be able to go through those challenges with the knowledge that I gave him and not ever have any of the adversities be because of what I put him through. All I want to talk about today is, guys, take a personal reflection on yourself. Take a look at how your life has gone and what you've gone through, how you've faced those demons, how you've taken your adversity and your challenges, how you've taken that wisdom, how you've become a better father. Know that even though you don't think that you might be doing the best job every single day, and you might think you failed some days, there's going to be moments where you're going to be like, wow, I really am doing a pretty good thing. You can't manufacture what they feel. That's all I want to say today, guys. If you have any stories that are similar to this, little moments that kind of make you realize that you're a good father, please tell them below. I mean, having these successes and having other fathers be able to read them, I think that helps. It could help guys that are going through a little bit of a downtime right now. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. If you know a dad who could use this message, please send it to them. May God bless you and your families.